The Night of the Hunter is only the second horror movie I've ever watched that's from the perspective of a kid. Where like a child is the main character. I'm not talking like made for kids horror like Disney Channel DCOM type of horror. I mean like rated R, made for adults. Kids can't even go see it. The People Under the Stairs type horror. The People Under the Stairs was the first one, which I watched last year for the first time. And now, The Night of the Hunter. Welcome to October Scaries, where I'm watching 13 horror movies that I've never seen before and giving my thoughts on them and reviewing them. The Night of the Hunter premiered in 1955. It's about a serial killer named Harry Powell who poses as a preacher to infiltrate the home of a widow because he knows there's $10,000 hidden somewhere on the property. And one thing about movies made from the perspective of children, or like where children are the main characters, one thing about it is that the adults are slow on the uptake. They are unhelpful in large part. The Night of the Hunter is based on a book by the same name, and the book is based on a true story, and so the movie is based on a true story. There was a real man named Harry Powers who was hanged in 1932, West Virginia, for the murder of 2 widows and 3 children. Our fictional man is Harry Powell. The movie does take place in West Virginia during the Great Depression, okay? It was directed by Charles Laughton. Now, when this movie premiered in 1955 in Iowa, this is all from Wikipedia, it was panned by the critics. That's a thing. Premiered, panned by the critics, and then eventually it gained love, but that was the director's only movie. They ran him out of there for this movie. I didn't look into like what issue people had with it. Okay, so the screenplay is by James Agee, and it stars Robert Mitchum, Shelley Winters, Lillian Gish, Billy Chapin, Sally Jane Bruce, and many others. Okay, so I liked this movie. So our man Harry is, like I said, a liar. He's a serial killer, and he goes after women who he deems too sexual, so you're a dancer, but also like widows. Like he's a serial killer. He goes after women. There's a lot in this movie about misogyny. The fact that it takes place during the Great Depression is perfect because this is an era where people are in need of money. The poor are getting poorer. And so having our main character be a preacher, pose as a preacher, is perfect because with poverty comes, I think that's an environment for preachers to thrive in, because they can preach prosperity, preach goodness. People tend to, I think, cling to that kind of stuff because real life is just so hard and can be so impossible. So to cling to like purity and goodness and the promise of the afterlife, perfect environment. It's interesting to watch how easy it is for Harry to infiltrate this town and infiltrate this family because of the fact that he is a preacher and also the fact that he's a man. But the preacher thing definitely helps. So we see the mother, Willa, the widow, is hesitant. Like she's still grieving her husband. But then you have this other character, Mother Spoon, who's like, a woman isn't meant to raise children alone. Children needs 2 parents, and she's pushing Willa to give Harry a chance. And of course, Harry wants to come onto the widow because he knows the money is stashed somewhere in her house. Meanwhile, the kids, John Harper and Pearl Harper, but especially John, his father told him before he died, before he got arrested, you are, because he stole the money, you are the man of the house. Like, you're smarter than your mother. That misogyny, adultifying that little boy. Yes, it's the 1950s, but there's something that happens in this movie. Well, a few things in this movie that surprised me, considering it's a movie from 1955. But this part is what I was expecting, right? The father adultifying the boy, saying, you're the man of the house, treating the mother like she's an airhead. And she does die in full religious psychosis, right? She caves to the pressure of like, you need a man in the house. She marries this preacher, and who she thinks is a preacher, and she's ready to do her duties as a woman and offer herself to him. And I was surprised when he when she told him she was done having children. I didn't think that was something you could say in 1955 as a woman. But she said she has 2 kids, she's done. But she tries to offer herself to him as his new wife, and he totally rejects her and says, like, your job is to mind the children you already have, not to beget more children, because she said she would have more kids if he wanted. But he says he ain't with that. He doesn't touch her. And I think part of that, I think I saw some speculation that, like, maybe he's gay and that's why he kills women. I think he's just killing women. I don't think that needs to be tied to his sexuality at all. I think he's a misogynist, and he's killing these easy targets, right? Women who use their sexuality for work, as well as these vulnerable women in terms of these widows. But he himself is not religious. Like, he's just using religion as a tool because it is effective to disarm people. So the children are trying to tell the boy, is trying to tell the mom thumbs up. Of course, she's not believing him. I was surprised at this movie, where this movie went, right? The mom dying was shocking, the way it happened, and then the children escape, and I was surprised pleasantly that it keeps going. They escape, and he goes after them because he figures out that the money is in the little girl's doll, Pearl's doll. John, listen, his father said he was the man of the house, and it's his job to protect Pearl, and he took that seriously. He was very brave. There's a quote towards the end of the movie about how this character, Rachel, who I'll talk about, says, "Lord, save little children." Something like, the winds blow and the days are cold, yet they abide. Like, they persevere, they are resilient. And this movie turns into a fairy tale because John and Pearl get a happy ending. They're taken in by Rachel, who... There's a contrast there between Rachel and their mom. Their mom was fully, like, embroiled in the patriarchy. She needs a man in the house. She can't do it by herself. She's not strong. The whole religious thing, your place as a woman, your place. Rachel is independent. She is smart. She is brave. She will shoot. She's very discerning, and that was very nice to see this other representation, right? Their mother failed them, and this woman saves them, saves their lives, and gives them shelter. It was also interesting that they kept John. I always love when I seem to love when we have little boy or teenage boy characters who are kept as children. They're children. So when Harry gets caught and is arrested, and the lawyer asks John to condemn him, point to him and condemn him, he cannot do it because that man, yes, he's evil, but he was his stepfather. There is a part of John who did glom onto Harry as a father, as a replacement for his father. And we see this when Harry gets arrested, and John seemingly has a flashback to when his father was getting arrested. And he says, no, like, don't take him. I don't want this. I don't want this responsibility. Just take the money. That was beautiful and also heart-wrenching to see. I think The Night of the Hunter ultimately gives us a complex story about children surviving a complex world and how the adults around them are fallible. They've got their own thing going on. There's another beautiful quote that says, it's a hard world for little things. And it was great to see John and Pearl end up in a place not only where they're not just survivors, but you see that they will thrive in the end being with Rachel. I give this movie a 4 out of 5.